Who's retarded now?
Yeah.
Nerdrotic.com.
Gotcha. Can I bet on the over and under? Seeing that I'm in the know somewhat. Hello. My name is Gary Beekler, and I come to you from Nerdrotic.com, a little channel on YouTube called Nerdrotic. Of course, my wife calls me right when the stream starts, and I'm going to have to decline it because I'm live. So sorry about that. Hi, everybody. Let's see who's here. That was great timing, by the way. Hail. We have, and let's go to the chat. We have Mr. Bentham, Dark Side Doug. Is there a light side Doug? John Connors, Jennifer Cisco, Eric K. The Visitor. Welcome, Visitor. We got Mila, and Fearder. Bear Business One, thank you for the super chat. I'll get right to it. Mr. Third Guy, Geek Tropology, and now it's going way too fast, so I'm going to have to slow it down a little bit. Warren Smith, Bradley Burnett, Fear of FEMA, Floydian Freak, Kenneth LaRoque, Derpy, I'm sorry, Derpy, I missed you there. Mark D, Q Vedas, Ass Chabs. Okay, Bruce Wayne is here. Oh, you wouldn't happen to be Batman, would you? I don't know. Your boy Soji, I love Lamp. Lord Thoth and his wrench. Inject some common sense. Oh, crap. Of course. Right when I start the live stream. So I have, I don't know. If you want to get in the chat, Mrs. Nerdrotic, do I need to go and sign these docs while I'm live? I could do it. I mean, it's possible. I could just chitter chatter while I click the button. It's pretty easy to sign docs these days. You have a signature put in, you do the DocuSign, and you just press a button and sign your life away. Make sure to read those docs if you're buying a house, especially if you get a loan. For example, if you buy a house in San Francisco in 2003 for $300-something thousand, believe me, I didn't have that much money. We put our down payment on, and then we saw what we actually paid in interest, which was $1 million. It was actually $999,000, and it makes you feel a little sick inside, and you realize, I don't really own this house. So I tried to figure out what parts of the house I did own, and I just figured out whatever part I'm occupying at that time. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, Hollywood is continuing their absolute meltdown over the Rittenhouse verdict. Now, we're not going to get into the ins and outs of the verdict. The verdict's done. The man is innocent. He's not guilty. Jury of his peers. Self-defense, clear case, in my opinion. Should have never gone to trial. It was a big fucking joke. It was a political... This poor kid was used as a political softball to beat around. And it's unfortunate that that's what our country is now. And we don't even care if it's a 17-year-old kid. And, you know, what Pedro Pascal and Mark Ruffalo and their ilk did was fully expose themselves as not principled people at all. I would at least have respect if you were principled in your beliefs. But they're not principled in their beliefs. Their beliefs are just cultish, and they are more about hating the other side than any kind of understanding. It is so hard to be non-political nowadays or in the center. We try. I am accused constantly of being a conservative, and while they are more than welcome here, and I don't think conservatives are demons, I just think they're regular working people. I'm not a conservative. I'm not. I'm not anything. One thing my very disappointing generation tried to do for a long time was get rid of labels. Now we seem to love them. We seem to love them. So we're going to talk about that. I watched the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye, and we'll talk about that. I won't get too spoilery, but I will be discussing it. And I read my first new Marvel comic book in over a year last night. It was brought to my attention on The Real BBC, by the way. Great show yesterday. Thanks, everyone who tuned in. Thank you to Mahler. Thank you to Az from Heel versus Babyface. It's over on his channel. Once you're done watching this, if you missed it, go watch it. It was a really fun show. A very kind person in our chat brought to our attention X-Men Green, which came out a week ago, I think, and it's been reviewed by people, including your boy Zach. So I heard what I heard about this comic book. I'm like, I got to see the context for this. And it is as bad as everyone is saying. I would argue, no, it's not worse. It's as bad as everyone is saying. The people who work at Marvel Comics are broken. These are broken souls, broken people, just inherently unhappy. And it's a life without meaning. It's not unlike a lot of the people who with blue check marks on Twitter who just want to talk about how terrible everything is all the time. And in life, it certainly is in some things, of course. Oh, but they just want to tear everything down. And it's getting to sick levels, like very sick levels, past. It's in the rearview mirror. Being sick, that slippery slope, it's in the rearview mirror. So I'll show you some images from the comic. It's a Marvel Unlimited exclusive, so it's done in a very interesting way. It's vertical. It's a vertical comic that you read on your phone and scroll up. And some of the usage of the imagery I thought was really clever. But the writing was who's retarded now? Yeah. Yeah. My God. Therapy would be my first thought. Get some therapy. Because what you are pushing, I'm sure some people are going to buy it. I can't imagine that many since it was a digital exclusive. So I don't know if it went in the stores or not. Maybe it did. I'd be curious to see how it sold. My guess, 20, because it's got the X-Men label. Wolverine's in it, 30, 40,000. If 30, 40,000 sold in the United States, that's just to stores. My guess, how many people got their hands on it would be 2/3 of that if it wasn't filled with variants. And the amount of people who actually read the comic would be, at my best estimate, 50%. Just to go over, a lot of people who buy comics don't read them all. The main culprit of that is the speculator. Speculators rarely read. And then there's the habitual buyer who wants to be a completist and get all their X-Men titles, and they have every intention of reading it and then never get around to it, and then eventually pull that title from their pull list. Had to deal with that for years. Hey, I owned a comic shop, and I couldn't read every comic book. It's not humanly possible anymore. When I started, it wasn't humanly possible, and the amount of comics that came out over the 10 years that I owned the shop doubled. It was just hundreds every week, and it got to the point where I used to carry one of every Marvel and DC title on the shelf, no matter what, and I had to stop that, and I made it what's called Saver Specific, which is I just ordered for my subscribers, didn't put it on the shelf. And as time went on, I started objecting to what was in the books, and it was just a precious few, which I made it available to my customers. I got rid of all adult titles because I was a family store. But holy crap, is it bad? So we'll go over that. We will definitely go over that. Yes, I did have a comic shop in San Francisco. I did. Let's get to bare business there. Oh, it's just never smart to put my light in front of my screen. You're just going to have to see the reflection in my glasses. There's not much we can do about that. And for those of you listening on, because apparently some of you are, so welcome. Well, you'll be hearing this recorded. Spotify listeners and iTunes or Apple Music. Not really sure which one it is. Listeners, this is available. This will be available on both, and soon Audible. I got to work something out to get it on Audible, but that's what we're hoping to do. Polaris Sucks for 263 says, Gary, the weird amount comes from my Canadian peso conversion. Happy American Thanksgiving. Really would love to see Inquisition return one day. Well, we'll see. We'll see. The focus has to be on this channel, and I have to focus on what works and what doesn't work, and what I can do and what I can't do. So we'll see. We'll see. When I get to Texas, things are they're going to improve. I'm going to have a nice little studio. I'm going to have an employee who's going to be taking a large amount of my quote-unquote workload off so I can do more creating. And it's going to be worth it because, well, let's just say I'm a lucky guy to have Perry Chan, and I'm a lucky guy to have this person. So we will definitely discuss that when I can, which I cannot do right now for reasons you will understand later. Kathleen Kennedy, I missed this from last from last nooner. Kathleen Kennedy sent $3 to my biggest fan. Cheers from Portugal. So Kathleen Kennedy is currently in Portugal. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. What's up? Bird of Prey. Kapla. Let us all be thankful for season 4 of Star Trek Discovery. Oh, no. Let's be thankful for DS9. It's the only better each time you watch it. This is true. Kapla, my good friend. I hope you are well. Happy Thanksgiving. Yes, I will be doing a Thanksgiving special tomorrow. I have time to be announced. Pay attention to the community section and Twitter, because I'm alone. Melissa and the family are in Wisconsin, the most dangerous place in the world right now. And I am all alone for Thanksgiving. So let's spend it together. I will be working on a Hawkeye review tonight, a couple of other videos for the daily. And then, yes, I am working on Picard as well. But we definitely have to talk about Hawkeye. So we'll do that in just a second. Shark Dentures for $2 says, what did Tilly on Star Trek discover? The buffet? God, I'll do it. Okay, I'll do a review of the first 2 episodes. I've been putting it off because I just didn't want to do it because I have to watch it again. The only takeaway is we have a Hillary Clinton in space. Space Jesus is Space Jesus. Tilly has put on 30 pounds. And I saw the single dumbest away mission I've ever seen. And we had Deep Space Beta. So it's the most unintentionally funny thing on television. Hail Neurotic, I have a question. If the comic is as bad as you say, does that mean Daredevil has no help? I don't know. Michael Smith for $4.99. I stopped collecting. A lifelong passion, like before Star Wars, before anything. Comic books was my gateway into nerddom. And it's my first nerddom love, and I think it is the perfect medium. You can do things in comics you'll never be able to do in film. It is the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup of art. You combine, remember that old commercial where the guy is, for some reason, walking down the street holding a big chocolate bar, and then there's another guy walking down the street, for some reason, eating out of a peanut butter jar, and they run into each other, and then the chocolate goes into the peanut butter, and then for some reason, that guy eats the fucking chocolate bar that went into the stranger's peanut butter, and he goes, oh, that's pretty good. Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Well, that's what a comic book is to art. And I love them. So I hope I've made that clear. I quit them a little over a year ago. And it was the straw that broke the camel's back was the treatment of people like Peter Samedi, who was really trying to do ingenious things with the comic book industry. He was doing things that like was music to a retailer's ear. Let's print things on cheaper paper. Let's make things cheaper. You don't have to make things more expensive all the time. You're not a ginormous industry that to where you can't make some radical changes and maybe dial things back a little bit to survive. He came up with that. Everybody's like, that's impossible. We need to print on, 50-pound paper, whatever it is. And, a long box of comics from the Bronze Age weighs 25 pounds. A long box of comics from modern age weighs 60 pounds. 60 pounds. You don't need that. You don't need all that, especially with the garbage art that we're getting now. And like nobody puts in backgrounds anymore. There's just nothing but blank backgrounds. It's terrible. Jack Kirby would be weeping and calling every single comic book artist a big pussy. That guy drew over 50,000 pages, and not just of blank backgrounds, and had somebody, like 50,000 pages. Man is the king. Okay. We'll get back to that. We're going to get to X-Men Green in a little bit. It's disgusting. It's the mentality, because basically you on the other side, which is pretty much everybody, which is me, anybody who's independent, anybody like Eric July, anybody like D-Day Cobra, my good friend Jeremy, or Ryan, or Az, who's a freaking liberal. And there's others in this realm, our sphere, who are liberal. They haven't come out and said, and that's their business, so I won't specifically name who they are, but they are. And we're all demonized. You're all demonized. And dehumanized. But the biggest problem is, and this ties into the Hollywood meltdown, there's not a lot of human going on. When you are showing sympathy for diddlers and you fucking know it, I mean, Pedro isn't that dim. They know it. So the only conclusion I can come to is they're cool with it, because I haven't heard otherwise. And no, I'm not going to give them the out of them just being completely stupid. Nope, they don't get that out. What? I didn't know. Oh, you didn't know. But you were totally fine blasting it to, 1 million people? And 13,000 people like that? So there you go. I'd say that's good for the FBI, but I'm not too sure the FBI is on our side. So, well, I am sure, but I'm just playing coy for the internet. But I'm sure. Oh, I'm fucking sure. What did okay? Hey, I was gonna get to Bear Business ones. Where'd it go? There it is. Who is this on time creator, and what did he do with Gary? I don't know. Bear Business one for $5. I don't know. Progress, not perfection. That's all I say. That's try to how I run my life. You always want to give yourself a leeway, right? So I saw Hawkeye. The first 2 episodes of Hawkeye. They're on Disney Plus. They popped on about midnight last night. So I'm like, F it. I'll lose some sleep and I'll watch this. And for those of you hoping for that Jeremy Renner Hawkeye story that his character deserves as much as Black Widow deserved a solo movie, and I would argue needed. He is the most underdeveloped OG Avenger out there. Never really looked like his character from the comics, never really acted like his character from the comics, but a great casting choice. just completely wasted, underused. So here we go. We have the opportunity. We've got a Hawkeye series. It's the Kate Bishop Show. He is a guest star in his own series. I will tell you, it's got a clever beginning. But then it launches into the credits. And the credits are an animated origin for Kate Bishop. No Hawkeye in them at all. There's like little images of little Kate growing up and training and being the best of the best at whatever she does. And yes, by the way, Marvel stands, I own Young Avengers #1. I've read Young Avengers. I like Young Avengers. I've also read Matt Fraction's run, and I've also forgotten more Hawkeye than a lot of you have ever read. And this ain't Hawkeye, and I'm not a Kate Bishop fan. She would have been fine as a Speedy to Hawkeye, as a Teen Titans, as they were originally conceived. But as Hawkeye, certainly you can do things in comic books that are a little easier to do than film as far as verisimilitude. That's why comic books are such a great medium. You could have, skinny little girls fight giant thugs and win because, for one, your imagination is filling in a lot of stuff. So you're thinking, well, maybe she is really good at subterfuge or just sneaking up on people. But you never really think like, oh, they're just going to take them on one-on-one. The one thing I did notice, there was no shortage of 300-pound Russians getting their ass beat by cute little Haley Stanfield or whatever her name is. And she can take a punch. Like a punch from a guy a foot taller than her right in the freaking gut. And she just gets right back up. And I'm laughing. There's a way to do it. There is a way to do it. You can give them superpowers, or show us like how skilled they are and do kind of like what they did in Daredevil, where they at least tried with Elektra. And I can see why people were comparing this to a Netflix series. All the ones that aren't Daredevil, by the way. It's a little long. There's a lot of sitting down at dinner tables and discussing things. The male characters are stupid and poorly written. And it's just a continuation of what Marvel has been in 2021. It's MCU, baby. That's why I came up with the name. It is a bait and switch. If you were expecting a Hawkeye series with some Kate Bishop, no, it's a Kate Bishop series with some Hawkeye. Now, there is an intriguing story in here. There is one that I would absolutely be interested in, and I think it should be the main focus. And it's first 2 episodes, so don't want to judge too much. It doesn't look like it's the main focus to me. If it were, it would be compelling. And I think you could just do a show on that and just get rid of the Kate Bishop stuff completely. And it probably would do better. Now, again, for the Marvel stands out there and the consumers who are going to say, oh, well, hey, it looked like Loki was a very popular series, but then why did Disney Plus flatline on subscribers? We've gotten more Marvel this year than we've ever gotten before. If you want to include Sony in this, we got 4 movies and 5 TV shows, and we've got 1 more movie to go. 4 movies, 5 TV shows, flatline Disney Plus. Oh, and you can't blame the coof for that one. What you can blame is writing. I would say with all the Disney Plus series, every single one of them, there's a good concept in there that if it was executed with some competent writing, it would be compelling and fun. At least in this series, they're trying to be fun. They're really going for this is Die Hard. Well, it would be Die Hard if it was a Disney princess wakes up one morning and wants to be a superhero with Hawkeye in it. If that's what Die Hard was, which it wasn't, then I guess it would be Die Hard, which it isn't. The only thing it has in common with Die Hard is Christmas. Haley Stansfeld is fine. She's fine as Kate Bishop. But here, okay, so one example of the just dumb writing. So there's a robbery. I won't say what of. Except for what they're yelling out. So there's a robbery at a place that's auctioning things. What they're auctioning is a key plot point, so I'm not going to say. They blow a hole in the wall of the auction, which is taking place under a very fabulous party. So it's a lot of very rich people, and it's a black market auction for charity for some reason. And the wall blows up, and the masked robbers come out, and then they proceed to tell everyone what they're stealing. And it's just pure exposition. They come in and they go, okay, we're only looking for the watch. Everything else is incidental. Don't pick up anything else. We're only looking for the watch. And if you think I'm kidding, that's what they said. And then they repeat, where's the watch? Look for the watch. I can't find the watch. Where's the watch? You think they would have just discussed that beforehand? You know, the whole watch thing? Because there'll be witnesses that they aren't killing, so they're going to let them go, and they're going to go, hey, they were looking for a watch. Now, it's important, and I won't spoil it, like whose watch it is and what this place was auctioning off. I'll just say the Avengers are the most irresponsible superhero team of all fucking time, and I'm counting Man of Steel and Justice League and everything. For one, they bring back half the universe's population without telling anybody. And I doubt they told the universe because they didn't even tell organizations on Earth. Well, that's only the beginning of their incompetence. And that's aside from the fact that, and I'm going to sound cold-hearted here, but oh well, that Tony Stark sacrificed everything for a daughter he probably would have had anyway. And Captain America selfishly went out and wasted his life with Agent Carter blowing off things like 9/11, the Kennedy assassination, stuff like that, with his superpowers in his prime because he deserved it. That's not Captain America, by the way. Oh, and I will not be surprised at all if they introduce Nazi Cap at some point. It almost looks like that's where they're heading. And if Chris Evans come back, and he would come back for that, he would, and he would just destroy his legacy. By the way, that's what broke Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics have been breaking before then with stuff like One More Day, disappointing endings to all their big events, including Civil War, right? Civil War was successful. It sold a ton of freaking comics. And the ending of the Civil War was in a Captain America comic that they didn't tell a retailer or anybody else. People were pissed. And then we had Ragnarok and Age of Ultron and Avengers versus X-Men, and they all just ended lame. The only one that was good was Annihilation. Annihilation, thumbs up. Good one. I would say that's the best one, and I highly recommend it. It's a fun read. It's got all the galactic characters in it, like Warlock and Nova. Haley Stansfeld is not like Mary Sue, all right? They have her make mistakes. She's kind of clumsy and overconfident, and she's charming enough, right? It just irritates me that it was a bait and switch. I mean, you saw, they showed her in the trailer and stuff, but they were still, people are assuming Hawkeye is Hawkeye. No, Hawkeye is Kate Bishop. Now, there's a reason people know her as Kate Bishop and not Hawkeye, because she's not Hawkeye. Same with Miles Morales. There's a reason people don't call him Spider-Man. They call him Miles Morales. Knowing a superhero's name and that, like Spider-Gwen, that's retarded. And it's killing the verisimilitude of comics, of storytelling, and it has a lot to do with cosplay culture and fanfic culture, which I never had a problem with. right? Everybody deserves their space and nerddom. You want to do what you do, whatever you do. I don't care. But they should stay, it's like letting the furries take over. It's like, no. You never go full furry. Okay. Yeah, they're there. And they're there usually to be mocked, for years and years and years. But now that's what nerd culture has become, because a lot of people they're starting to abandon it. It's had its time. It's 15 minutes are up. And it's been degrading for a long, long time. And it's too bad because, like I've said many, many times, Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Star Trek, DS9, Babylon 5, Buffy, Twilight Zone, Star Trek, whatever you want to name, were things that brought people together, no matter what their political differences were or anything. I played a little clip yesterday on the Real BBC of Terrence Dicks, the great Terrence Dicks, script writer for Doctor Who from 69 to 80, talking about how you should not get political with Doctor Who. And honestly, I didn't know that clip was out there until Problem Being, thank you again, for posted that up there. And I think that is one of the single most important clips for all of our arguments over the last 4 years. This is one of the main dudes for Doctor Who during that time when people were going, it was always political, saying, no, it wasn't. No. It was allegorical. It was moral. Those are not political positions. Nobody is for genocide. Well, it's looking like Marvel is. And we'll get to that. Marvel definitely has a problem with blue-collar workers, which I would argue used to be the vast, vast majority of people who purchase comic books. Because they had the money to do it. So, Hawkeye is a guest star in his own show. There is a cute one-eyed dog that everybody's going to go, oh, look at the dog. Oh, the dog. It's fucking Disney. Hawkeye shoots arrows. He shoots fucking arrows. They stick into people horribly. They cause horrific injuries that you die slowly from. Arrows in the eye, arrows in the neck, arrows in the heart, arrows in the nads. Ouch. Well, nobody got hit with an arrow. There's a really cute scene where Haley was beating up some guys with some wine bottles, though. So that'll make all the wine moms happy. And we got, look at the wine bottles, the weaponized wine bottles. Can they weaponize box wine, though? That's what I want to know. She was in the Ronin costume, and I think she was meant to look just absolutely ridiculous. So she did. By the way, love the Ronin costume. Wait, if you can, you might be able to see it. Yeah, there it is right there. Boop. Where my finger is. There we go. And it's a very interesting storyline with Hawkeye that wasn't really explored. What he did during the 5-year blip, like the only thing during the 5-year blip. There's a scene with the Rogers musical. You all saw it in the trailer. And I don't think Disney realizes that the point of that scene was like, oh, look at this silly parody musical of the real events of the superheroes. And I don't know if Disney realizes that Disney Plus is that Rogers musical in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The one that they did not create, but they will certainly finish. Argue against the Snyderverse and what DC was trying to do all you want, but the one thing you can't argue with is they took their heroes seriously. Maybe too seriously, okay? But I'd rather that than trying to fucking break the fourth wall, Deadpool, silly Billy stuff. That is the stigma comic book fans were fighting forever with our stuff. It's, no, we take this shit seriously because we've actually read the comic books that took this shit seriously. People like Roy Thomas took this shit seriously. Legend, by the way. Absolute freaking legend. Should be right up there with freaking Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, in my opinion. And he's still alive. Oh, my God. So the focus was on Kate Bishop, not my favorite character, one that probably could have been fine, but she really got caught up in the all new, all different SJW Marvel. Now, I haven't read anything in the last year and a half, and I don't care to, considering what I saw in X-Men Green. And I will repeat again, I have read the Matt Fraction Hawkeye, the lowercase, that's what I used to call it in the store, lowercase Hawkeye. Because, yeah, that's what you want your dynamic superhero branding to be, lowercase letters. And it was certainly lowercase. Hey, it sold well. People liked it. And at least Matt Fraction, took Hawkeye seriously. It was something different for its time, but now, when you bring it out now, this has just been done to death. Passing the torch, new heroes, and, Hawkeye exploring his past, being a meditation on toxic masculinity, which is what Boys Season 3 is going to be, and what freaking Wheel of Time is, and what everything is going to be for the next 2 years. Just go meditate on reality. Hey, Star Trek Discovery is absolutely free of masculinity. How well is that doing? Oh, it's going to be available in Europe as of Friday. So thought you dodged the bullet. Now 8 people get to watch it. That's great. That's fantastic. So yes, it's only 2 episodes. I thought it was boring, predictable, poorly written dialogue. And I feel bad for Jeremy Renner because I think he's a solid actor. He's a solid Hawkeye. He does what he can. There is some compelling things in it, though. Like he's at the play and he goes up to the pisser and he sees on the urinal Thanos was right. And if they actually explored that in a deep and dark way, that would be interesting. I'm down. I just could care less about Kate Bishop, and she is being forced. There's Kate Bishop fans out there. Oh yeah, sure. There's Jodie Whittaker fans too. Yeah, Disney Plus, Clownfish TV, great channel, did a video on this. Disney Plus is bundling themselves with Hulu and ESPN to bump up their numbers. So next quarter they can go, wow, we gained a bunch of subscribers because they forced a price hike. What a lot of these streaming services are going to have to do eventually is commercials. They're going to need commercials. And you know who's got everybody beat on that? YouTube. YouTube is a perfectly acceptable place for commercials. It gives you an option to opt out if you like. At least you can skip past them. I'm guessing you're going to get commercials before, in the middle, after, maybe even spread out. Like YouTube TV is pretty bad. That's why it's really hard to watch stuff on YouTube TV, because there's commercials and then you get like 7 and you see the countdown and it's, oh my God. And I don't give a shit if you keep on that pesky ad blocker. Go right ahead. It's fine. So the way the second episode ends just irritated the shit out of me. Because it's just this, oh, it's cutesy, bootsy, boop, boop, doop. So, like, there's moments of, okay, I might like this. And then it just, Disney can't sit on anything serious for a minute. So, okay, one scene, and then I'll be done. This will be a little spoilery. Hawkeye's at the play. It's just in the beginning. It's not impactful to what the overall plot is. But he's watching the play, and it's supposed to be cheesy. It's supposed to be terrible. And it's the events of New York in 2012. It's Rogers the musical. And he's singing the song, I Can Do This All Day. It's fucking terrible. And it's supposed to be. But then he sees Black Widow dancing, and like things get quiet. And he starts having a little PTSD. And I'm like, ooh, okay. All right. Okay. and everything gets kind of muffled. Well, it's just that he had his hearing aid off. And then, Hawkeye's on a trip with his family without the mom, but the daughter is acting like the mom the whole time. Oh, and in the beginning, Kate Bishop has a dad who's obviously screwing something up. We don't know what he's screwing up, but we know he's screwing up. Then he goes upstairs, gives advice, and that's it for dad. So, yeah. It's very Netflix. It's very Iron Fist. It's very Iron Fist, except with, credible leads, I'll just say. With credible leads. And a cute dog. If your series is got the best thing in it is the dog. That's not good. It's not good. But we'll see. We'll see. I will give a full breakdown. I hopefully give you a little Thanksgiving treat tomorrow. A couple of Thanksgiving treats. Because I got time. What am I going to eat for Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow? Probably pizza. Whatever I have in my fridge. Oh, yeah. Quick California update. I went to the grocery store last night to shop for food. Because that's what you do. I got my food. And there were no eggs. There were no white eggs anywhere. Entire shelves empty. There was no peanut butter. There was no, thankfully I have plenty. The bread aisle, this is Southern California. This is, population of roughly 3 million people around me. Place was half empty. Half empty. Little concerning. But thank God the Biden bucks went out. How many people got their Biden bucks? Better spend it while it's worth something. Striker X24 says super chats are having trouble getting through. I wonder why. I heard that on another show as well. I wonder if there's a bug in... Thank you for the $2. I wonder if there's a bug in the system, man. I don't know. I'm sorry that sucks. There's the Streamlabs thing. Anytime YouTube changes their algorithm or their platform in a major way, like, I don't know, removing dislikes. And that's what they did. For any of the content creators out there who are saying, we can still see them, they've lost their impact. And quite frankly, I was talking to another content creator about this, a big one, a respected one, saying, I never knew how much I never knew how much I relied on them before. And he's right. The impact of the like is now fucking useless. I mean, still hit the like button, but it's just like, it's a terrible decision that will impact this platform in a very bad way. Something that relies on interaction removes a form of interaction, and believe me, it's just the beginning. It's gonna, if you sometimes people get their yayas out by just downvoting a video, and they do it to me too. I don't care. I want mine public, by the way. It tells me things. But it's going to just be made up for in the comment section. And then they're going to, get rid of the comment section. It's over. It's over. It's over. And again, I'm very glad I got into this when I was older and I've had successes and failures in my life. I've, worked multiple careers and been successful and not so successful in some. And, now I'm, nearing the, end of working life, thankfully. Due to hard work and determination. I can't imagine what it's like being a young person and this is your first success, which would feel pretty freaking good. But then you got to rely on YouTube, and that's where the mental health thing comes in. I love how they give us a bunch of shit about mental health and then they just arbitrarily do this. Oh, yes. Again, there's content creators who like this move. go look at the ones who like this move, and that will tell you how good of an idea this is. Thank you again, Striker. Striker. Is it Striker X24 or Strike? Yeah, it's probably Striker X24. Jace Fox for 50 Norwegian krona. Hail, brother. Good to see ya. And I not like that Hawkeye. I did not like the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye. Pink Gary. Yeah. It sucks that he's going to get his costume from Kate Bishop. Oh, yeah. It's irritating. It's effing irritating. Hawkeye has one of the best costumes, period. Hail, Nerd King of Strippers. I took the stripper Sunday home, and she's watching this stream too. Oh, you took the stripper home? Fucking respect. Respect. Friday Night Tights next. Star says hi. She's a boomer. She's got a boomer crush on you, says Jed Morgan for $4.99. Why, thank you. Yeah, mad respect. Learning the stripper's real name, taking her home, that's a win. That's a win. Gary, say happy birthday to my wife, Tanya, yesterday, but still counts, says Nick Nero for $4.99. Tanya, happy birthday. May you have 1,000 more in a better world. In a better world that will make better. That will make better. Still riding the high a little bit off the white pill that there's still justice out there. And Hollywood stepped in the biggest effing trap that they a trap of their own making. Again, it's one thing to say, I disagree with the verdict because I have these views on gun laws or whatever. And then there's showing sympathy and support and trying to make martyrs out of monsters. You just fucking exposed yourself. What do the kids say? Caught in 4K? Is that what the kids say? Oof. Oof. I don't know how many of you watched. By the way, I do not subscribe to Disney Plus. I use somebody else's login because I don't want to give them any money. And the reason I stopped buying Marvel Comics was that straw that broke the camel's back, the behavior of the creators towards the paying customer, which I have. I have a bias. I do. I definitely support the paying customer over the creator because I had a better relationship with the paying customer. They helped support my family for a decade in San Francisco. And even in San Francisco, the insane town that it is, there is a lot of cool people who live there and supported my my shop. And I'll never forget that. Some of them are still poking around in the chat. They're lurking. It's great to talk to them. And, you know, all they want, I got to meet and talk to people from all walks of life in San Francisco, and unanimously, people didn't want to talk about politics. They went there to get a break, to go. It's their little piece of joy. They wanted to grab their little piece of joy, take it home. It's what they work for. Sit down, read a few funny books. And then they get to come into the store and discuss it with other customers. I mean, there were so many friends made, and it was really effing cool to watch. And all of that pissed on, destroyed by creators. I would say they should be ashamed, but they have no shame. Matt317 for $3. Hey, Gary, I've lost all interest in the MCU and instead have turned to reading old comic collections from my local comic shop. Currently reading Uncanny X-Men From the Ashes by Claremont and Romita Jr. This has become my new MCU. Hail the Fellowship. The The future is in the past. There's a lot of comic books I haven't read, that you haven't read, that are cheap, and they're damn good. Just pick up, if you want a good read and you want to spend the next 10 years doing it, just start reading DC Comics from Crisis on. There is so many damn books from the 80s that are just like, it was such a sweet spot for Marvel and for DC. You can spend the rest of your life reading that stuff. Crisis on. Pick up Superman. Go right up to the death of Superman. And the death of Superman, even though it was such an oversaturated story because they didn't sell it because of the speculators, what is forgotten is it's a pretty damn good story. It's a good read. Batman Nightfall. It's just, late 80s, early 90s was a great period for both. I like the early 80s. I think that's when comics really started getting more mature, more sophisticated, thanks to the likes of Frank Miller, Alan Moore. But there's just too much to recommend. And it's not, the one good thing about DC is you can read the individual story. Marvel is more about reading the entire continuity. Man of War 665, the neighbor of the beast, the odorous stink that is Disney Marvel aside, I draw the line at the cocksuckery that is Rogers the musical. Well, what's funny, Man of War 665, the neighbor of the beast, I was watching a documentary. Some kid put together a pretty damn good documentary on the Spider-Man musical. Remember that? Into the Dark. Julie Taymor was the director. Bono and the Edge did the music. It's like, how can you go wrong? Such a super team. And it was just garbage. It was just terrible. People died. People got injured. Julie Taymor decided to change the Spider-Man origin. It's a good, and that's what, Rogers musical was meant to be cheesy. I just don't think that they realize that this show within the MCU is the same thing. It's the same thing. And Jeremy Renner seems to be a pretty good guy, a solid guy. A great story. He wanted to spend a little more time with his daughter. Marvel said no. He said, recast the role. Good dad. Of course they buckled on that one. They can't recast two roles. The other day, one of my conservative friends asked if I wanted to join the LGBTQ community. I said, what are you talking about? He said, let's go, Brandon, to Quit Group. Sounded great until I remembered Kamala. No way out till 2024. I guess happy Turkey Day, says Bradley Burnett for $25. Thank you, Bradley. I appreciate it. I think there's just going to be a lot of good memes. A lot of good chuckles. Best Buy stepped in it today. If you guys didn't see, I'll show you. I will show you. Thanks to the libs of TikTok. Best Buy sent out a notice offering their employees counseling services after the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict. The verdict in Kyle Rittenhouse's trial stirs many emotions, and it's another difficult moment for our nation. What? Due process? While these events can be a challenge and deeply hurtful, I hope you will take a moment to reflect on the values that unite us as a company and as a nation. Like due process? We can do better. How can we do better than due process? You know what you can do better? Sell something I actually want to buy. You know what you can do better? Maybe run some training on how not to fucking ding the fucking steel books. As each of us, as individuals, allies and human beings. Press together for better outcomes. I know events like this can take a toll on our mental health and emotional well-being. Please know that Best Buy is here to support you. You're encouraged to take advantage of our mental health resources, including the Life Solutions Counseling Services. This Employee Assistance Program, EAP, offers free confidential services available 24/7 for all employees and anyone living in your household. By engaging together and supporting one another in vulnerable empathy, courage, and grace, we can continue to strengthen our company and community to stand together as one, steadfast together. Mark Irvin, Chief Inclusion, Diversity, and Talent Officer. Best Buy isn't going to be around much longer because they were extorted. They were fucking extorted. You know what? The powers that be took full advantage of the rioting last year to extort cowardice companies, and they fell for it, and it's going to cost them everything. And there's going to be no brick and mortar. And you want to know why? It's not going to be all Amazon. It's fucking laws and not enforcing them. In big cities, you have robberies. Other people have talked about this. You have mass coordinated robberies. And you know what? Employees don't want to deal with that shit for fucking minimum wage. But you offer services for this shit? Anybody who votes for anybody who is for decriminalizing mass theft, mass coordinated theft, that it has to start being prosecuted. They have to start going after these people, or it's just going to continue to happen. And you can't blame the people for getting clever. If you sit there and go, hey, if you tell everybody, hey, we're not going to enforce this anymore, and then people go out and, coordinate, that's just fucking human nature. I'm very much against stealing. I'm not the biggest fan of laws. But made this analogy a couple of years ago. We used to be a pretty civilized nation as a whole. We would stop at a four-way stop in the middle of nowhere with no cops in sight. We're not doing that anymore. Things are breaking down. That's going to be a problem. Circle your wagons. And get the fuck out of cities, man, if you can. Oh, fucking stupid. It's not happening everywhere. It's only happening, in California, Chicago, places where, gun laws are eased. What Amazon doesn't realize and what eBay doesn't realize is the legislation coming their way. Once, they're pretty much taken over now, but once all this is gone, the feds and the state are going to start looking at eBay and Amazon and how much they vet people who are selling, because that's where all those TVs are going that are being stolen and all that Louis Vuitton shit. It's going on eBay and Amazon. And I think that has a lot to do with why big tech is working in such lockstep with the state right now. There's an appeasement factor. That's exactly what's going on with Best Buy. It's just an appeasement factor. Fucking dumb. And their stock is going down, and I'm not surprised at all. At all. All right. Going to read a couple super chats, and we're going to go over X-Men Green a little bit. Phoenix Tangent for $10 says, "Hail Gary, my wife works in supply and chain and her company and she says she can't get a truck into California without paying $10,000 more than any other state. No trucker wants to drive in California. Gotta get to Texas. The grocery stores are full of food. Hail." Yep. Gavin Newsom changed some rules on trucking. The state is vehemently denying this. But I have truck drivers emailing me saying, nope, that's the case. They have changed the rules massively, and they're having trouble finding truck drivers. Now, a good friend of mine was a tow truck driver. He owned his own tow truck down here in San Diego. And that was how he made his living. You know, it's a modest living, but it was good enough to support his wife and his daughter. And they have like a little mini ranch with some pigs and stuff. Yeah, here in San Diego. A good friend of mine from the old days. Well, Gavin Newsom changed the rules, and the new tow truck he was going to have to buy was like $100,000. He couldn't get it. So he either had to move or do something else. And it was like overnight. So, and by the way, this is the party that has sympathy for the poor. For the poor. No. They are very interested, this one party state, in keeping everybody poor. Making you feel marginalized by calling you marginalized. Now, let me make something very clear here. Life is not fair. People are treated differently. That is wrong. We need to work on fixing that. I think we're heading that direction, but we are nowhere near where we need to be on that. I totally agree with that. But for people, entities, people in power, the president, to call any individual marginalized, well, that's because they want to keep you marginalized. Don't buy that shit. So life can both be unfair and you're not marginalized. That'd be like me walking around, well, you know, because I fucked up my life and I don't have all of my rights left. I can just walk around going, I'm marginalized. Yeah, I'm marginalized. My Second Amendment rights are marginalized. And Fourth Amendment rights, I don't even know if they exist for anybody anymore. I wouldn't rely on them. Yes, get rid of dislikes because it gives people bad feelings. Make creators think someone doesn't like them. Makes them sad. Ben Franklin once said, critics are our friends. They show us our faults. Maybe a bit of wisdom there. You think Bradley Burnett, thank you for the $20 and the wisdom. I greatly appreciate it, and you are absolutely correct. What the content creators who are for the removal of dislikes are going to find out pretty quick is it doesn't make their content good. The creator of YouTube, I'm going to paraphrase what he said. Most of YouTube is not good. But it makes the good that much more extraordinary, and it doesn't need to all be good. It just needs to be engaging. It's great to see, you know, like Culture Casino or Sporking or the author Stephen Walton out there, and they just live stream with their friends and they're hanging out, and that's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's largely supposed to be. That's how Friday Night Tights started. It was just, hey, this is an excuse to hang out with my friends, and I don't have to leave the house. And it turned into something, you know, and we're grateful for that. But we need our criticism. I am grateful for it. I listen. I think about it. I mean, I think it's hard for some people not to take it to heart, you know. You just got to remember, I've talked about this before, but the missus and I went to marriage counseling about a decade ago. And I learned the difference between listening and hearing. Like, you can listen to something and go, yeah. Okay. You could even like, yeah. But then you want that person who is giving you that feedback, that constructive criticism, that criticism, to feel heard. Like you actually understood what they said. And you gave it at least real consideration. That's important. Hardwick Benthal. This is from a couple days ago, but I'm going to read it. Have you gotten around to watching Boss Level yet? It's one of the best movies of the year. It has good action, dark humor, and fun performances by Frank Grillo, Mel Gibson, and Selena Lowe. And remember, I am Guinan, and Guinan has done this. I have not. I've heard mixed things. Odin liked it. Some people didn't. But I think I'll eventually watch it. But I freely admit I'm on a Doctor Who kick now. The reason you didn't get a video today is I kind of blew it off and watched a bunch of Doctor Who last night because it was inspiring. Talking to Az and Mahler about the Doctor Who I liked. It had its 58th anniversary yesterday, and while we were mourning the loss of something that was great, we were remembering why we loved it in the first place. And I watched 4 episodes last night, and it was fucking great. I don't know. I feel like this name is cut off here. Gandalf identifies as we. I finished my own movie about a zombie-obsessed special needs adult trailer. My apocalyptic Thanksgiving movie. Happy Thanksgiving, Gary. Hail to the fandom. And there is the link to it. I will have to look at it before I play it, but I can play it next time. Or on FNT if it's good. Thank you for the $10. Dogwolf for $3 says, "Hey Gary, I want to say thanks for calling out all the woke crap. I have been an archer since I was 4 and I'm 25 now. I even was part of the team called Aerodynamics. Archery is my life, and Hawkeye, my favorite character, is getting ruined." Yeah, imagine if you got, for DC fans out there who might not have an attachment to Hawkeye, imagine if you were going to get a Green Arrow series and Green Arrow was female Speedy, and the focus was on that, and it was a lot less compelling. Kate Bishop doesn't have a really compelling story. It was just, we need girl Hawkeye. That's initially what it was. Young Avengers was a good book. I liked it. I supported it. Sold a lot of copies because it was supposed to be Marvel's Teen Titans. Teen Titans is one of my favorite books, period. But you know what? Marvel is very different from DC, and it doesn't have a lot of sidekicks. So they made some. Well, that's how Disney has kind of turned this. Disney, for some reason, just thinks the Marvel brand is enough. And they can live without things like Spider-Man, Captain America, and Iron Man. And what Paramount did and Marvel did before Disney got in the door was make household names out of Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor, which were upper tier heroes in Marvel Comics, but not top tier. But they became top tier, and then they immediately did away with them. They released Captain America movies with Captain America dead and Thor dead. It's just dumb. They started out right, though. They started out right. When Iron Man came out, the Iron Man book sold like crazy. Okay, let's take a look at X-Men Green. All right, so here are 4 images. We'll start out. So X-Men Green is from X-Men Unlimited. It is a Marvel Unlimited exclusive. It's a very interesting, I'll show you, like how they present this comic book without doxing anything. By the way, thank you, Mrs. Nerdrotic. You're awesome. You're freaking brilliant. Hail, Mrs. Nerdrotic. She is the best. All right, there it is. Marvel Unlimited. Here we go. Enjoying the new Marvel Unlimited app? Here, I'm just going to put needs work. Okay, so we go to X. Men Green. It says 12 issues, but these issues are really short. So, okay. So you see this? This is how you read the comic book. It's interesting. It's terrible reading it like this. For one, I am blind as a bat, so I can't read it, and I've got a big phone. But this is Nature Girl, okay? So Nature Girl is on a beach, and a turtle is dying. A turtle dies. So Nature Girl was introduced by Jason Aaron, I believe, with the bisexual Wolverine, and everybody's bisexual. Everybody's bisexual. So Nature Girl finds a turtle who's dying. It's got a little piece of plastic. Turtle goes, "Irk." And she goes, "Poor turtle." And she finds out it's from Owen's grocery store, serving in Las Vegas. So she goes to Las Vegas. Finds Owen's grocery store. And murders the clerk with a pair of scissors. Doesn't stop there. So she's on the Earth she is seeing as the Earth is dying because of the environment. And, basically, I mean, this is all news driven, they're fear porn. Now that they're turning the page. I mean, we still got a lot of COVID left, but the page will be turned to the environment, and a lot of the restrictions we see from COVID will be implemented with the environment, in my opinion, but we're already starting to see our good friends down in Australia moving that way. But yeah, she kills an innocent clerk who might not even have been the person who sold the bag. It doesn't stop there. There's a protest at an oil pipeline later on. By the way, all the workers on the oil pipeline are white, and they're all toxic as hell. They all beat their wives, and they like to. There's peaceful protesters there, and they always beat them up and push them around. And with the help of another mutant, they go and murder some of these blue collar workers. Black Mamba is there, but she is just being used by the corporation because of capitalism. I'm not kidding. Black Mamba with her powers can't afford the rent, so she allows herself to be used by a corporation, but takes the money, but blames the corporation. Sauron's there too. He's there to help the planet too. Not Sauron from fucking Lord of the Rings, the other one, the reptile. And yeah, the bad guys in this are capitalism and white males. So they send Wolverine to go get Nature Girl. He grabs her. They put her on trial. And they don't want to lock her up. They don't want to lock her up, but they have to because they're getting sued. So for liability issues, they lock her up, but then she is freed later by the island. That's a mutant. And let go to go and given more weaponry to go and do more damage. And that's where the series ends. There'll be more X-Men Green after that. And it's fucking sick. It's just absolutely sick. There's no secret here. The writer, Jerry Dugan, this is how he feels. It's supposed to look extreme, and they try to call it out at times, but they're very sympathetic to young Nature Girl, and they're like, we don't want to do this, And they don't really, I mean, and the only time they bring up the killing is it makes the X-Men look bad. It makes the X-Men look bad. Now, I don't know. I know a little bit how we got here with the X-Men, and it is fucking terrible. And Jason Aaron is a writer I used to like, but I think when the ideology poisons your creativity, it's just my opinion, but it poisons your creativity. Because I'm seeing people just change. It's weird. I used to be followed by a lot of comic creators on Twitter. Recently, I have been unfollowed by people who I've talked to, who I knew for years. Unfollowed by Mike Mignola, Ben Templesmith, yeah. Which is, I don't give a shit. I could give a shit. But just noticed that I was actually going through and kind of cleaning out. I had a lot of dead followers who were just like haven't tweeted since 2012 from my comic shop days. Cause I've been on Twitter for way too long, since 2008. And I don't know how you turn this around, because you're just gone at this point. You're lost at this point. When this is your morality, there is no morality. Your gauge is off, son. And this is the danger of the divisiveness that fucking Hollywood has been pushing. Comics were way ahead of them on this. Big tech dehumanizing people, and we're not like in the process of it. We're done with it. Again, just like the slippery slope and everything else, it's in the rearview mirror. You have been dehumanized. You have been dehumanized. And what are we going to actually see? Now, I know people are saying it's just a comic, but it's just another comic like this. This is just one example of example after example after example. And yes, people need to be calling it out. And yes, there is a freedom of art. I'm not saying it shouldn't exist. By all means, exist, please. I'm not saying Pedro Pascal should be fired. I'm not saying Mark Ruffalo should be fired. Not at all. By all means, stay in your job. Let more people see that. That's the beauty of free speech and free expression. It allows people to give themselves enough rope to, you know what. So, and that's how you deal with free speech. With more free speech, I am allowed to call it out. But unlike them, I just would like to see them change their ways, find some understanding, or you have the right to fail. Failing is not being canceled. And a quick refresher, because again, I know I said this last live stream, but just in case you missed it, there was a little spat between Keem, Star, and the Quartering. Keem decided to call the Quartering out for hypocrisy because the Quartering was just pointing out that Pedro Pascal was showing support for diddlers, and so were others. Keem objected to that, although Keem has called out people for diddling as well, including James Charles. So I'm not sure what the beef was really about. I think it was more about him and the Quartering, because it was kind of a not really consistent argument. For one, the Quartering didn't at Disney and demand that they were fired. The Quartering just said, hey, this is going on. This is going on. Big difference between that and cancel culture. What's cancel culture? For example, you have two people who work on, let's just say, a show called The Mandalorian. And one person just tweets something that's an analogy for political prosecution. Little salty to some people, not to me. Very accurate to what's going on right now. That is used as an excuse to fire Gina Carano for going up against the pronoun police. Now, they would have kept Gina Carano on if she had gone through a 40-person Zoom room struggle session and then went on an apology tour and bent the knee. And then Pedro Pascal calls 73 million Americans Nazis, and then shows support for diddlers and doesn't get as much as a phone call. I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. But that's cancel culture. What they did to Gina was every time she posted, they were following her. Every time she did something, and most of Gina's posts are, oh, hug a friend today. I mean, that's it. Or here's a picture of a sunset with some nice thing to say. Mark Ruffalo's even worse. Don't want him off Twitter. He can say whatever the hell he wants. I don't care. But there's a huge difference. What isn't cancel culture? If you suck at your job and you get fired, you're not canceled. You just sucked at your job. Or I'll use I statements. If I'm a backstabbing son of a bitch who talks a lot of shit, is duplicitous, is two-faced, and people don't want to hang around me anymore, well, then I'm just an asshole. You're not being canceled. But that's where we're at right now, and this is why comic sales are down. I don't know. I don't care how much this sells. And again, your boy Zach did a video on this. I might do one for daily because I did read the entire. I scrolled. I can't say read or read. I scrolled through the entire comic, which called itself 12 issues, but it was really like 4 swipes an issue. Like this is issue 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 swipes. 10 swipes an issue. The art's not bad. You know? It's not bad. Got no problem with that. She uses a bunch of birds to get away from the convenience store after she murders the convenience store clerk in cold blood. But this is the morality that we've seen in Disney Plus shows as well. WandaVision had horrific morality. Falcon and Winter Soldier, horrific morality. Remember when Freckle Jesus killed people? But then fucking Sam Wilson, Captain America's numero uno, said it's a big when Bucky pointed out how is she different than anyone else? Well, the motivation makes the murder different. Oh, okay. So righteous motivation makes it completely okay to kill somebody. Unfortunately, that righteous motivation is very objective. Very objective. And yeah, we saw a little bit of it in Loki. What If was, I didn't see much of it there. We'll see if we see it in Hawkeye. I'm guessing we will. At the rate things are going. And that's the morality of Hollywood. And that's the morality of modern writers who aren't experienced enough in life in a lot of cases. And a lot of the even more experienced writers now, we're second generation non-experienced. A lot of the veteran writers now are straight out of university, write comic books. Maybe they travel the world after university, and that's their perspective on life. A 2-month trip in youth hostels. And I'm being generous. I'm being real generous on that. There was a time when writers did stuff. Look at all the great writing from the 60s. All that great creating. a lot of those writers served in war, like did their time in World War II. Makes for great experience. Tolkien. All right. So Horrible. If you want to check it out for yourself, I wouldn't recommend it. There's plenty of good reviews out there. I wouldn't give Marvel any money. Yes, I had to subscribe. I did my trial for Marvel Unlimited, and I plan to book as soon as that trial is over, just to have access to it. I tried to watch it on my computer, which I could not do. I had to read it on my phone. Hello. Hey, we got a Manny. We got a $50 donation. Thank you. Says Manny here from Fairfield, California. Best show on YouTube. Following your Cal exit, heading to Abilene, Texas as soon as wife is done with chemo. Oh, I hope she's doing okay. I do. I've watched my dad go through that. My heart goes out to you, buddy. And radiation for lymphoma. Prayers out to Manny's wife, everyone. Can't wait to get out of Cali. Hail FNT as Chrissy, Ryan, and Gary. Let's go, Brandon. Hail. And all my best to your wife, Manny. Out of Fairfield, California. Ooh, man. So Walnut Creek got hit. There was a bunch of coordinated hits and stores, which is going to be kind of the linchpin of my San Francisco video. I was kind of looking for a little hook. That's the hook. So that'll be out in the coming days. I've been waiting. It's half done, but it just was missing something. Like, I start a bunch of videos, and I'm really open with you guys. I'll talk about, and I'll trash a bunch because they just like, I'll finish it and I'm like, yeah, it doesn't, it's not very good. Now I know there's people out there who don't think any of my stuff is good. That's okay. Stephen Kraft for $5. Hey, Gary, sad to hear about Hawkeye, but I am being sidelined in this show. But him being sidelined in his own show was Me Too predictable. Oh, absolutely. I'm not surprised at all. I hope things improve because I actually like Haley Steinfeld. She's really good in movies like True Grit and Ender's Game. Happy Turkey Day. She was good at, I liked Ender's Game. I didn't see True Grit. She's not terrible. I'll tell you right now, she's a more likable version than the comic version. But she's given a spotlight. I'm just tired of seeing, there's no reason to pass the torch. There's no reason for Hawkeye to be retired because you haven't fucking done anything with Hawkeye. You just haven't done anything with Hawkeye. But Hawkeye's a white cis male, so he has to go. So he either dies in the series or retires again. Or now I know we have the cliffhanger from Black Widow. And I know that what's her name is on the IMDb for the show, and she might show up. And if she actually fights Jeremy Renner, I mean, she is a hobbit. She's a hobbit. Yelena? He's going to look down and somebody's going to be kicking his knees. Kicking his knees. Shane Rostek for $20. Did I miss what you thought of Hawkeye? Well, I can repeat it again real quick. I thought there is potential in something that we'll never see it realized. Disney Plus is Disney Plus. We know what we're going to get from Disney Plus. We're going to get a deconstructed character. We're not going to get some alpha running through and kicking some ass. We're going to get a tormented Hawkeye dealing with his past and finding out that he is a true hero through the inspiration of the girl who's the key to everything, which is basically Kate Bishop. Now they got a charming actress, which is probably going to make a lot of people happy, but she's still basically that archetype. She isn't perfect at everything, which is nice to see, I guess. But her being the focal point of this series is not something I'm interested. You have a much more interesting B story than your A story. So far, that's what I'm seeing. And also, it's kind of slow. It's kind of slow at times, and it's really predictable, and some of the dialogue is pretty awful. It's Disney Plus. So if I don't care if Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin shows up in this and freaking Matt Murdock, Disney is not capable of making street level heroes. It's just, they should stop. These are people who shoot arrows at other people. It's gory. It's violent. It should be gritty. It should be rated R. It should be a hard rated R. Disney's not going to do that. It's a Disney princess story who wants to become a superhero, guest starring Hawkeye. 500. Oh, that's awesome. KF for $2. 507 days sober. Hail Gary. Hail to you. Hail to you. That's brilliant. That's a lot of time. Taker 610 for $20. I think Gundam is doing it on purpose. On Drinker Stream, he called him cynical drunk after calling you nerdaholic. He's not respecting your digital pronouns. If your company has an inclusion officer, if your company has an inclusion officer, get a real job. Yes. If you want to ensure that your company will die, it will have an inclusion officer, because basically it's a communist officer. It's a Marxist officer. It's a Marxism facilitator. Darth Bredicus for $5. Hi, Gary. Silver Surfer is my favorite superhero. What is the action figure of him? What is the action figure of him to, and how much was so pissed he wasn't in the Infinity movies? As far as action figures, I have a custom. You can't see it. I have a custom famous covers. And there's some Marvel Legends, but there is no 1/6 scale Silver Surfer. I'd fucking love it. There's no 1/6 scale Fantastic Four. There's no 1/6 scale Silver Surfer. There's no 1/6 scale, like, proper comic Doctor Doom. No 1/6 scale Namor, Warlock, all kinds of characters, but we're going to get a 1/6 scale Kate Bishop. Oh boy, a 1/6 scale America Chavez. I am so sick of these woke companies. I will not spend another dime at Best Buy. Says Jay Hardy 0786 for $19.99. Nor will I. And I love steelbooks. They're my thing. I love them. Fuck Best Buy. They're always dented, though. The Crushinator for $50. Thank you. Let's keep up the great work. Enjoying some Nerdrotic with my daughter while my wife is working in the pediatric hospital. Oh, doing work, good work. Happy Thanksgiving and hail Friday Night Tights. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And hello, young one. I'll try to keep my language to a bare minimum, although I cuss like a sailor in front of my own kid, so I'm terrible. Streaming at my time slot. I'm sorry. It's my time slot, baby. This is a sub war. First one to 500,000 wins, and the loser has to shave their beard. Hashtag Sporking Strong. For $10? Okay. No, because you'll get there, buddy. Just keep trying and make 10-minute videos. Make 10-minute videos. Release 10-minute videos at the very least once a week. I would say at the beginning, 3 times a week minimum. Rory Borgman for $2.22 says the Hawkeye font looks like a food delivery app. It does. I hated it when it came out, and I still hate it now. Although I thought the book was okay. But, like time always adds perspective, doesn't it? If I knew Matt Fraction would be responsible for bringing Kelly Sue DeConnick into our comic realm and averaging up the place and getting overpraised just because she has a pair of teats, and she writes comic books. Yeah. Floral from Under a Rock for 2 Canadian pesos says, did you see my email about my song? I did not, but I will check. I honestly haven't checked my email today. I stayed up super late fucking off and watching Doctor Who when I should have been doing a million other things. And then I watched Hawkeye. Then I watched it again. Will Meldman for 25 Mexican dollars says they killed the dad in 3 minutes. Males are done. Yeah. Well, she's got a bad dad in the comics, and it is slightly worse. Like, she gets kidnapped. Her dad is in some dirty dealings, and she gets kidnapped as a kid. But they decided to change that, and the dad is fucking something up, and the wife is yelling at him. And then little Kate Bishop overhears it. So he goes up and gives some platitude, some stupid, like, there's always weather. What do you do, Dad, in a hurricane? Well, I do what I always do. It's about our choices we make in a hurricane. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? This makes no sense. You were just talking about choices and then fucking the weather and hurricanes, and then he just dies. So it's all right. We aren't troubled with any men or anything. Oh man, so much for curbing my language. Steve, sorry, young one, but you're going to learn those words someday. Where's the plot? If you find the plot, leave it behind. The plot is incidental. Has anyone seen the plot? Hawkeye writing room. Stephen The plot is about humbling Hawkeye as much as possible. So this young teenage superhero who we saw her origin in an animated credit scene will teach him the way and teach Clint Barton to love himself again through her inspiration of him and then his inspiration of her. After humbling the shit out of him in his series, it's not his series. He is just there to hook the viewer. This is the Kate Bishop show. Why not just make a Kate Bishop show? And there is female heroes out there that I would love to see done right, like a proper Valkyrie, not the Tessa Thompson stupid smirking dumbass one, or Moondragon, or fucking a proper Hellcat, or a proper She-Hulk. She-Hulk is my favorite. Absolute favorite. Sue Storm. I was about to say they better get Sue Storm right, but I know better. They're not going to get the Fantastic Four right. What you saw with the Eternals, they're going to do with the Fantastic Four. They're probably not even going to be related. It'll be a polyamorous family. I started collecting comics back in 1973. That is 3 years before I started collecting. I was 7. Spider-Man and Marvel was my favorite. Yeah, 7, 6, and 7. Perfect starting age for the Bronze Age. Bronze Age is best, by the way. Just absolute best. I was bagging and boarding them. Just grab it. I've always got a Bronze Age comic near me. Marvel 2-in-1 was such a cool series. They kind of wrapped people's stories up that you haven't seen for a while. That's what it was kind of used for in a lot of cases. It was really cool. I quit back in 2018. I could no longer watch my beloved superheroes being sacrificed on the altar of identity politics. Says Samurai J for $10. Yeah, it took me about 2 more years to come around to what your way of thinking. And it was just too much. When I don't know, towards the end, I was bringing home a stack about this big of new books. And the amount of books that I was reading was that stack. I was like, and I'm like, I am wasting my money. These things are worthless. They are so disposable. They're just disposable garbage. When back in the day, each individual book was just a precious, precious thing to me. And I wouldn't dream of getting rid of any of them ever. Like, no, this is part of a bigger story that I love. Plus, I just get enjoyment looking at them. Right now I'm holding look at that. There wasn't a lot of Moon Knight back in the day, and it puzzled me. I'm like, this is the coolest effing character. And it's just not taken off for some reason. Well, it's because they never really knew what to do with Moon Knight. Moon Knight should be as popular as freaking Iron Man. Great concept. Yeah, it's Marvel Batman, but with a twist. But it still should work. But look at that. That freaking art is awesome. Yeah, I just, there's plenty of old stuff to read. And thank you, Samurai J, for the $10. And thank you, Stephen Lanudo. Carrick, 50 for $10, says, found you through Mahler, and I'm glad I did. I love hearing people with knowledge talk about their passions. After Marvel finally crashes, how long will it be before good writers can revive it? The good writers are going elsewhere. The good writers are going independent, but we did a big problem with the independent market has risen that I suppose we should talk about real quick. I don't know what the exact name is. As a matter of fact, I'll just go look at the picture here. I will look at the picture. It was called where in the fuck is it? There it is. The Indiegogo Crowdfunding Trust Alliance between Indiegogo and GoFundMe. Now, with GoFundMe and Indiegogo, you absolutely have to watch out for fraud. Fraud is effing everywhere. It's on eBay. It's on Amazon. It's everywhere. So I completely understand. I want you to all keep in mind, Indiegogo is a company in San Francisco. Now, at the beginning, it looked like they really wanted to just make money, and they started kicking Kickstarter's ass. But we know the pattern now, don't we? Black Rifle Coffee. Turned out they really weren't all about what they say they were about. Turns out they were woke as fuck. Fuck Black Rifle Coffee. Indiegogo supported Black Lives Matter, but they still were about profit. And they were letting people do their thing. And there is a balance. There is a balance, and I completely understand that, especially when you're taking people's money. I think for the most part, people understand that it's, when you're on an Indiegogo project and you're supporting it, you're not buying something off eBay or whatever. You're not going to get something instantly. Although I would argue that after your first couple of 3 campaigns, like maybe you should be getting stuff out a little faster because you're more experienced. I definitely understand that it takes people a while on their first one, on their second one, because it's just a person and maybe you're not thinking about all of the dotted I's and crossed T's that go into comic publishing. And it took the comic industry many, many years to figure out something that they fucked up later and might have fucked up permanently. So just being on the retailer side of things, from the retailer perspective, what we liked, and listen, a lot of people considered us gatekeepers. Well, I mean, we were and we weren't. I wasn't trying to keep anybody out. I just had a budget. And I needed to sell what I thought would sell. Now, if I believed in a comic, I could sell fucking anything. I can, if somebody came in and goes, recommend me a comic, I would have 2 or 3 off the top of my head that I would sell that person. I would like, I believe in this thing. But it had to pass like just my taste test. That's all. And my taste test was it has to have a very compelling story and compelling art. But no, I didn't have the budget to buy everything. So, you know, I wish I did, but I didn't. So I guess in that part, a lot of people didn't make the cut. And the main reason they didn't make the cut, no matter how good their comic was consistency. If I'm going to sell this comic, I got to need to know when it's coming out. Now, if it's a quarterly comic, fine. At least we know it's a quarterly comic. If it's just a big like graphic novel size and it's going to be one every couple of years, fine. We know that. But if you're pushing yourself as a little monthly, and you're not monthly, then I got a problem. Even with the Ultimates was just like a solid seller. But if it had come out on time, because Hitch was just effing slow, and Millar was too, that thing would have sold 5 times as much as it did. It was so effing popular. And it was basically, the Ultimate Universe was a more grounded, grounded or a more nihilistic version of the Avengers. And it was an interesting take at the time. Captain America pointing to the A in his head. You go, does this stand for France? It was funny. But it also kind of laid the foundation for what was to come, which was the Watchmening of every fucking thing. Of just everything. To the point where I was sick of it in 2009. And if people were walking, if there's anybody who was in my story, you remember the one thing I would be bitching about pretty much daily was, I think it's time to reconstruct the hero. And here I am a decade later, still saying it. We need to reconstruct the hero. We need to reconstruct the hero. We have deconstructed the hero to oblivion. And now people don't even know what a hero is anymore. And now anybody can be a hero. No. Nope. Not everybody can do everything. There are things I can't do. I've been playing the bass for years, but there's just like a talent ceiling with how good I'm going to be. I'm never going to be Geddy Lee, Chris Squire, Les Claypool, no matter how much I effing practice. Now, you can get better over time, but like, dude, I've been playing for a long time, and it's just, there's a talent ceiling there. I accept that. That's fine. I'm not hurt by it. I started collecting. Okay, I read that one. Found you, and I read that one too. So the answer to the question, where are the good writers? They're you. They're into independent sphere, but the independent sphere is in peril. And to dial back to what I was talking about with the Alliance is going to be used to blacklist people. Maybe not current projects, but future projects. So the Wild West of Indiegogo is coming to an end. And for those of us who are anti-establishment, for those of us who are rebels, we need to understand something loud and clear right fucking now and internalize this deep into your soul. It ain't fair. You're not going to be held to the same standards as somebody else. As a matter of fact, the standards we are going to be held at is they are finding ways to get rid of us as much as possible. They don't want your money. They don't want my money. They consider it money, dirty money, shameful money. So what we need to continue to do is find alternate places maybe to crowdfund and or changing the mentality by making more normies aware of what's going on. That's how things change. Because right now, a very small number of people, extremists, have control over a lot of creative entities. And it is weird. It is weird that a lot of people benefiting from something like capitalism are so just hell-bent on destroying it. But when you get that religious mentality, it becomes a bigger thing. They start thinking in their head that I am a hero because I'm fighting an evil. And I have a purpose in my, what I feel is meaningless life, instead of finding real meaning. Paperboy for $25 says, Nerdrotic, we salute you for suffering through Star Trek disgracery. So we don't have to. It seems to be getting worse if that's possible. Let's go, Kurtzman. It has gotten worse. It is most definitely gotten worse. It's been out a week. Most people haven't seen it. Maybe I'll have something together for the weekend. I will be reviewing every episode live. So if you want to watch out for those, I'll do them on the main channel, and then they get exported over to Nerdrotic Live. What I'll do is I will do a review of the first couple of episodes, then I'll do a season review here on this channel. Probably do the same for Hawkeye. Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll do it weekly. Maybe. Turo for $2. Jeremy Renner listed as 4th on the movie cast page. Yep. You know, I have a feeling, we'll see if he has any creative control. I think they're, you know what? I'm not going to give, if they don't deconstruct Hawkeye, I'll be surprised, and it will be a pleasant surprise, but it certainly looks like that's where they're going. Look at all the stories post Avengers. I mean, the Avengers failed. They failed. Thanos won. The Thanos that they killed in Endgame had completed his mission, and what the Avengers fixed fucked everything up. They completely failed. And I think that's on purpose. I think they're going to have these new crop of heroes come and clean up Tony and Steve's and Clint's and Thor's mess. Pluto Nash, greater than current Marvel films. Nerdpocalypse. Pluto Nash. Says Fat Steven Seagal for $2. Pluto Nash. Why am I not? What is Pluto Nash? I know what that is. I know what that is. Oh, yeah, okay. The Adventures of, okay, yeah, it's Eddie Murphy. I was thinking of like the Don Johnson TV series. God, what was that one called again? With Cheech Marin. They brought that back, by the way. They're so desperate they brought that back. Nash Bridges. That's it. Nash Bridges. So sad when Teletubbies has better writing than D+, says Fat Steven Seagal for 2 Canadian pesos. You are correct. Cornelius Brunius for $10. What do you think about them making a Gladiator 2 where Maximus has an illegitimate son? That's what I think of it. Eric K for $5. You're not supposed to be super chatting, dude. What nasty hobbit just ran through here spreading rumors Gary owned a comic shop? When did this happen? This is the first we've heard of it. I know. AT for 50 Norwegian krona. Wolverine run on X-Men cartoon got me interested in Marvel. Rereading old Witchblade and Spawn because what? Well, yeah, they're fucking awesome. That's why. Mark Silvestri was the fucking man. The X-Men animated series made more comic book fans than anything ever created outside of just the comics themselves. Michael Smith for $4.99. Hail Nerdrotic. I have a question. If the comic is as bad as they say, does it? Oh, I read this one. Okay, so we're caught up on that one. Good, because I got to wrap things up. This has got to be a short one because I've got work to do. And I got to move step aside for Sporking news. I was supposed to be on Sporking today, but yeah, I'm sorry. We'll reschedule it. Or maybe Sporking can come on my Thanksgiving special. But he's probably going to be with his family. Thanksgiving special tomorrow, folks. Thanksgiving special tomorrow. Because I'm alone. My wife abandoned me. I mean, I don't blame her. I really don't. Jedi Shredder for $50. Holy shit. On the donation side. Says, as we all embark on the holiday season, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge how thankful I am for channels like yours. Common sense takes a community that matches a fellowship, that matches your passion. Also, the best for the remaining stretch of 2021. Hail Nerdrotic and hail to the fellowship. Hail the chat. That's what I'm thankful for, and thank you very much. Wouldn't it be great? Listen, I long for the day I never have to bring up culture war shit again. I long for that day. I long for the day where we could just discuss the ins and outs of a fun TV series or some comic book. And there's still good stuff out there. It's just really fucking hard to find. And let's be real, mediocre stuff is starting to look really good. You know, Ghostbusters Afterlife. I loved it. But why did I love it? Well, I mean, was it the storytelling or was it just because it honored the past and it gave us some good emotional moments of nostalgia? Yeah, probably the latter. But I think right now that's okay. I think right now we need fan service. They Hollywood, if they're going to fix anything, which I don't think they're going to do, but I could be wrong. They need to really go back to basics. Go back to basics. Reconstruct the hero. Just be fun. Be fun. Just be fun for a little while. I don't really care how you fucking get there. And then we can get back into complexity. Right now, complex storytelling to Hollywood is just subverting everything and going fucking dark. Well, going dark is the easiest thing to do. It's basic bitch at this point. Manny for $20. Born here 65 years ago. Can't believe what Pelosi's nephew has done to this state. Thanks for the good wishes for the wife. Recovering from radiation, then selling house. The blue cult is never leaving California, so I am. Let's go, Brandon. Manny, thank you for the $20. Again, good luck to you and your lovely wife. And yeah, I mean, like right now, I think it'll be okay for the next 6 months to sell your house. I am not a financial advisor. I am not a doctor. I'm not a brain surgeon. I'm not a gynecologist. I'm not a creator. But I will say that the way things look, 6 more months before the housing market takes a shit. I could be completely out. That is just based on my speculation as a big dummy. But I wish you all the luck in the world. And California is pretty safe. I mean, somebody bought my house in San Francisco. My little postage stamp sized house. But thank you, Manny. I appreciate it. And Jedi Shredder, hail to you. All right, folks. You know what I'm thankful for? The Modrotics. Thankful for the Modrotics. Thankful for the chat. Everyone who has supported this channel. It's been an unbelievable ride. It's been surreal. I can never thank you guys enough. The fact that we get so much support that it's overwhelming. And the fact that we have to do square ups, it's incredible. It's incredible, your support. And we plan to moving forward. We're going to get a lot of things streamlined and make sure all your questions get answered. And I have no problem finding help for that. And I can't wait till we get to that point. But again, I can't thank you guys enough. And it's fucking awesome meeting you guys at meetups. That is the best part of this job. So a lot of meetups to come. And I think aside from me getting to meet you or Ryan or Jeremy, it's like watching all you guys hang out together, and somebody brought up last meetup, like, hey, we want to kind of get a database going so we can meet up without you guys. And I'm like, I love that idea. That is such a good idea. So we're, if you guys can figure that out, that'd be freaking great. That'd be great. But we're spreading the word, that's whether that wasn't what I intended to do when I got, I can't say I had a defined thing when I got into YouTubing. I know when I first heard the word podcast, I'm like, I want to do that. I love that idea. Basically my own radio show from wherever. I can do it when I want. And if people listen, cool. If they don't, cool. It was always going to be part of a comic shop. That was always part of my big plan. And I had, this studio is like the fifth version of what I had in mind for a podcast studio. There's my early versions you never saw. I think my version 1 of a podcast studio, I did one podcast in, which is my very first one, which was a very badly recorded review of The Time of the Doctor, Matt Smith's final episode, and with my son. And it's on my website. And I had the Blue Yeti plugged in, but it ended up going through the camera microphone, and I had a horrible cold, so I sounded like shit. Plus, I had been clean for like 4 days. And we said goodbye to Matt Smith, and that's where it all started. But it was always part of like, hey, this is going to be, once I get the comic shop open, then we'll get serious about the podcast. Well, then things kind of changed. And it's been crazy. But, I've always wanted to do it. I just didn't have a defined thing, and I just let it kind of create itself as time went on. And it's been great. I loved all the new Moon Knight, says Jacob Landers for $4.99. I haven't read any recent Moon Knight. I'm going to forget his name. It's like Hutchinson's. But the Moon Knight that Finch worked on back in the mid-2000s, late to mid-2000s, I liked that when they brought it back. It was good. All the Bill Sienkiewicz. I used to call him Sankowitz. I didn't know how to say his last name, so it was Bill Sankowitz for forever. But it's Sienkiewicz, who's a fucking psychopath. And it makes it hard to enjoy Moon Knight knowing what a fucking moron that guy is. But he's an artist, and he's been one all his life, so whatever. But his work on Moon Knight in the 80s, holy shit, was it fucking good. Adam Child for $2 says, last super chat. Happy Thanksgiving, Gary. Thanks for all you do. Thank you for everything. And I appreciate it, Adam Child, and good luck and happy Thanksgiving. Is Tyrone Beard still alive in Australia? He's cool. I think so, Adam Child. I haven't talked to you in a while. For $2, it says, I don't know. I want to say, yeah, I heard it's been a while. I mean, I see a lot of names, and I've got Swiss cheese for a brain, but I don't know, Adam. We're talking to an old timer on this channel. Old timer. Uncanny X-Men drawn by Mark Silvestri was my favorite run. Jim Lee, Wills Portaccio tie for second. Willis Portaccio. I followed artists. Yeah, I am a Silvestri. I think is much better than Jim Lee. Jacob Landers for $4.99. Thank you, Autumn. I appreciate $5. Jacob Landers for $4.99. Hail from San Diego. Gary, keep up the excellent work and health and peace to you and the missus. Thank you. Thank you. By the way, I'll be at Comic-Con on Saturday. Comic-Con on Saturday. I'm not going to be there Friday, obviously, for Friday Night Tights, but I will be there Saturday, maybe Sunday, depending on how much. But I think I'm just going to do one day. Fergie Kruger for $4.99 says, hey, man, first time donating. All right. Very gentle. Just wanted to thank you for giving all us normal folks a voice. Hope you and the fam have an amazing Thanksgiving. Right back at you. All right, I can go for 8 more minutes. We'll go 8 more minutes. This was only supposed to be an hour. Kyle Gardner for, did I do this one already? Oh, okay. Kyle Gardner for $50. Thank you, Kyle. Hail. What do you do when someone you know wants to go see a movie like The Eternals or the new James Bond? Do you warn them about what you've heard, or do you let them find out for themselves? Depends on how much you like them. Close friend, you warn them. Coworker who might annoy you once in a while, like leaves fucking like food in the fridge for too long, or ratted you out to the boss, let them go see it, but they'll probably like it. No, it depends. If it's a friend, you want to save them a few bucks, so you go no, but you got to tell them why. It's important that you tell them why. A lot of normies just don't notice it. I would say Bond was a subtle thing. I got a lot of clapback for Bond. I stand by everything I fucking said. Absolutely everything. They cucked the shit out of him. But I'll tell you where and why. People might disagree with that, and that's fine. But again, I don't state anything as fact. I'm comfortable in my skin, but my opinion's my opinion. Of course, it's objective, right? It says nooner, but it's like 7:48 out here on the East Coast, and it's dark and cold. Maybe a Nerdrotic eveninger. Well, I mean, it's just the title of the show. I think it started a little late today, but noon usually is like 11 to 1:30 or 2. I waited a little while on this show because Chrissy was interviewing Nick Rekieta, and then Az was on earlier. So I decided just plus I had a bunch of office work that I had to do today. Son of a Wolf for $50. Hail, Gary. The engagement ring I ordered has shipped. Proposing to the girlfriend next weekend. Are you sure she doesn't watch my show? I'm going to be excited and nervous. Manny, I will keep you and your wife in my prayers. God bless. Son of a Wolf, congratulations and thank you. And thanks to Manny. Good luck. I'm going to ask you what I ask everybody. Are you sure? Better be sure. And good luck. The Grizzly for $2. Disney Plus is just CW with another name. Well said, Grizzly. Well said. George Peter Gatus for 2 Canadian pesos. What's up, man? Hail, Gary, and the chat and the fight for our culture. Hail. Oh, people try to minimize that. They really do. They go, oh my God, the culture war. How lame. Like, everything is fine. Everything is fine. Kate Bishop is awesome. I know nobody's buying the books, but if we just conflate manga numbers with all of our numbers, we can say our industry is doing better. In other words, we can lie. We can lie. When you have to conflate, when you have to manipulate, you are lying about your industry. It's not $1 billion industry anymore. It used to be. It's a $500 million industry. So a $500 million industry, which provides the source material for a multi-billion dollar industry, starts to fall. And then that multi-billion dollar industry just rushes past all the good stories to get to the ones that sold in the thousands. I don't know how they think it can turn out different. Oh, I know how they think, because they think their shit doesn't smell. Copious amounts of huffing their own farts. Kelly Johnson for $2. Will we never get a good live action Norrin Rad? Oh, probably not. Norrin Rad's probably going to be non-binary. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just like the next Doctor. I think we got a big hit on what the next Doctor is going to be in the in episode before last, from the first female Doctor played by Jodie Whittaker, when she said her gender is fluid. How does that feel to all the women out there who wanted the Doctor to be a female, and she pretty much was non-binary? She wasn't even a female. Like, they didn't even make a female Doctor. Maybe that's why it failed. I don't know, but it failed. It failed nonetheless. Mark Ruffalo listens to Skater Boy as tribute to Anthony Huber. Would you guys still want a video from that? I feel like time has passed on that one. I got one 3/4 of the way done. Lloyd Buckley for $5 British pounds. Yeah, Mark Ruffalo is soft in the head. I used to like him a lot. He was like one of my, because I like the movie Zodiac. I really love the movie Zodiac. I think it's so fucking well done. I mean, they came to the wrong conclusion and everything like that, but it's just artistically well done. Fincher, when, Fincher, God, I thought Fincher would just be better than he was. But, I mean, he's done Fight Club. He did Zodiac. Be interesting to see a Fincher Batman movie. It would. Simple Sandman for $50. Gary, I gotta pull a 12-hour Thursday and Friday night. Any chance to do a late night stream Thursday night? No pressure. Your content helps a lot of us cope. Happy Thanksgiving. There's a chance. Yeah. There's absolutely a chance. I'm going to sneak a member stream in there too. Hey, I had Thanksgivings and Christmas in prison, so I know what it feels like to be alone. And yeah, I was surrounded by all my buddies in there, but I was alone. I had acquaintances in there that we hung out and we played fucking dominoes all the time, or played racquetball, or hit the weights. But I mean, you don't have friends. You don't want to get too attached, especially like everybody was going home before I did. I had the longest sentence for I got put in a minimum security place a year later, but the first year and a half I spent in max, like level 4 max. Terrible. Clint, in the second to last episode, I can shoot an arrow and no one would ever know. Steven Lanudo for $5. I don't know. Bow Q's Gamer for $4.99. First time. Thanks for the show. You're welcome. Wife is away, comforting family. Her dad is dying of cancer. Oh, no. Fuck cancer. Makes us all thankful for the time we have. God bless, and God bless to you too, for sure. Thank you. Fuck cancer. All right. We out of here. So thank you to the Modrotics. If I missed one, it will be made up in the Square Up. Hopefully be out in the next 48 hours. I'm going to be working on a video, my Hawkeye review. And I've got a couple of other things. If I get finished, hopefully Perry can help me with that. We'll see. Thanks to X-Ray Girl for all her great work. Thanks to Perry for all her great work. Thanks to Eric K and the mods for all your great work. Thanks to everyone who left a super chat and a donation. They are appreciated, and you help keep this thing rolling. We are right now as supported by you, and some ads on the video side too. But again, I'm thankful for all of you. It has been, if it ends tomorrow, it's been so much fun. And you know what? Calling out giant corporations. I get enjoyment out of it. Roasting fucking Pedro Pascal and Mark Ruffalo. It's fun. It's fucking fun. And it's low hanging fruit. I admit that. I know we're not dealing with Mensas, but with Mark Ruffalo and Pedro, don't give them ignorance as an excuse. They don't get that with this. This is one instance. And again, it's not cancel culture. Gave my reasons earlier. We're talking about sympathy for diddlers. So if somebody gets canceled for that, I don't have a fucking problem with it. I really don't. Not a thing. But that's one thing. Most cases, you can say what you want. Do what you want. I support it. And you know what? They can say what they want on this. And I don't want them fired. I didn't want Gina Carano fired. I didn't want Roseanne Barr fired. I didn't want James Gunn fired, which it turns out he wasn't anyway, because I do recall seeing a movie of his in the last couple of months. I think people should be free to be as dumb as they want to be. But when it comes to when we're talking about normalizing grooming of little kids, sympathy for diddlers, and really, I don't care. I don't care. It's too much of a danger to allow them in society. If a society doesn't protect its kids, is no longer a society. And I don't mean we go to extreme to protect our kids. That's the parent's job, not the state's job. And I'll say the same thing I said with cuties, right? Cuties disgusted me. But it's free speech and free expression and free art. Yep, it is. Now, did it break any laws that were on the books? I don't know. Was it made here? But I never asked for Netflix to pull it, and I definitely don't want the government to step in and start regulating art. I want us as human beings to just go, you know what? There's a couple lines we shouldn't cross. There's just a couple, If you want to be adults and get your freak on all you want, go for it. You want to be a polyamorous fucking furry? Seriously, go for it. I mean, stay the hell away from me, but go for it. And that's fine. But couple lines, just a couple. You know what? I guess the same could be said about snuff films. It's free expression and art. But no, you're breaking a law. You're breaking a fucking law. Well, the same might have possibly been said about cuties, but I don't know. It set up an interesting debate. And you know what? For as much as we're called an echo chamber, there was some difference of opinion on a lot of stuff from people I respect. Personally, I draw the line at sympathy for diddlers, any kind of normalization for diddlers. No, I'm going to be very intolerant on that. And I am not apologetic for it at all. And the fact that I even got to say that shit out loud is just because some people are. It's dumbfounding, but not surprising. Okay, so thanks again, everyone. Have a very happy Thanksgiving with your family. The government doesn't get to tell you how you can celebrate, who you can celebrate with. But I guess they're going to have a say on how you can get a fucking turkey. So hopefully you got one. Hopefully you got your stuffing and everything. And have a really good time. Hang out with your family. Watch some football. Watch some live streaming on YouTube. I'm sure there's going to be some brilliant live streamers out there doing some stuff. I mean, aside from me, I'm not brilliant though. I'm okay. And thanks again. So in the meantime, please enjoy some credits.
Who's retarded now?
Nerdrotic.com.
Got a $5 super chat from Till All Are One. Says happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Let's see. 21 Alicia for 150 Martian pesos gives us a thumbs up sticker. Welcome, new members. And Game Room for $19.99 says, do you think that the MCU will go straight to crap after Doctor Strange 2? Seems like after the movie, it'll all then be women, minorities, and members of the LGBTQ+. If they're compelling characters, I don't care, but I think it will be shit because Marvel and DC are essentially 5 or 6 characters. And everyone else is good with those other characters. So if you get rid of Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Doctor Strange, Thor, you are left with a bunch of also-rans. And if you mix in wokeness with that and you get rid of storytelling, yeah, it'll go to shit. It'll go to absolute shit. Same with DC.
Gosh.
It was encouraging to hear that they are still considering bringing back Henry Cavill as Superman. They're stupid not to. But yeah, the MCU is garbage. It sucks what we heard about Doctor Strange because I was hearing very good things about Doctor Strange too. I was hearing very, very good things. And now it's gone back for reshoots. So this is my speculation. They gave Raimi some creative freedom, and he made probably a pretty damn good movie that maybe wasn't quite woke enough. And we know America Chavez is going to be force-fed on us in that movie. So, I don't know. Maybe there's studio interference. That's why it was very surprising that they hired Sam Raimi to direct the film when Marvel isn't very interested in having directors who are anything more than someone who will do whatever Kevin Feige says. Thanks again, Game Room, for the $19.99. And good night, everybody.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm gonna come.